Hi everybody, it's Lavinia. Welcome to my channel and welcome to Tea Tuesday and a tutorial. In today's tutorial, I am going to show you how I'm going to make a mug rug. And a mug rug is simply just a smaller type of placemat where you can go ahead and put your, for example, this is a little espresso cup that I found at an antique shop, very pretty. Or you can put your coffee mug or tea mug. And I'll be having my teas. And in one of future Tea Tuesday, I'll tell you the story about this particular set that I have here. But again, it's supposed to be small so that all you're really doing is you're placing your mug on it or your teacup on it and maybe a little snack. And so it is small. It's not a placemat. You're not having the full setting on here. It's just simply larger than a coaster and smaller than a placemat is really what it is. So in my other video, I showed you some of the fabric that I wanted to use. So this, I think I cut it, it's 10.5 by 8, and this will be the front of the mug rug. The other fabric that I wanted to use, I didn't have enough, so I used this fat quarter, and I cut it about maybe an inch or so larger than the front. So this is the backing, and I already cut out my cotton batting. What I really did is that, I trimmed this piece with my rotary cutter, and then I placed this on the cotton batting, and I just took scissors and cut around it so that, eventually it'll be, this is how it'll go. Not sure how I'm going to do the edges. We'll figure that out. For example, on this one here, I didn't do binding. I just simply, had it inside out, turned it right side up, and then just stitched around it. That's very easy rather than doing binding, especially if you don't know how to do binding, and I'm not an expert at it. But the design that I'm going to use, I just drew this, and you can find designs, on Pinterest or just Google something. So I made this sort of in the shape of a teacup, and then the steam, and I am going to use this heat and bond. You just want to make sure that whatever you use, that it's good for applique. All right, and there are instructions on here, but I'll go through the process. You do want to make sure that when you heat this to your fabric, that you have the fabric the correct way. Because, for example, this is the pretty side of the fabric, and this is underneath it. So you do want to make sure that when you heat this onto this, that you have it the right way, because otherwise this will be the wrong side of the fabric that faces up. So the instructions are very important, especially if you haven't done applique before. So I am going to use my light box, I think, to transfer this over onto this paper. I had bought a light box just because I was doing some watercolor painting, and I was using the adult coloring books to do that. So, but you can put your design up against a window and use that to transfer it over. What I had also done is I just used a cardboard box. I put my cell phone in there with a flashlight, because these are small designs, and you can do that as well if you don't have a light box, or let's say it's a cloudy day and you don't have, shining light. So I will show you this next step, and we'll continue with that. And actually I did my designs with a dark colored pencil. I probably don't even need to use the light box, but one thing that I do want to notate for you is that this will be an empty space, so the background will be showing through there, and I'll show you when I cut that. But this is going to be a two-piece applique. There's the piece for the mug, and then there's this piece, which I will cut out of a different piece of fabric, which will be the tea or the coffee, depending on, what you want to use it for, or whatever it is that you want to call it. So I am going to find a piece of fabric that might be a little bit darker, like in a cafe latte, or, tea color, amber color. So just wanted to point that out to you. Now, one other thing I want to point out to you when you are doing applique, there's two sides. There's this sticky side or rough side, which is where you'll place your fabric, and then there's this smoother side. So let's say, for example, I was going to go ahead and trace it this way. When I go ahead and heat the fabric to it, I would be using the wrong side of the fabric. And then when I'm putting it on my actual fabric, just note that the design is going to be flipped. So for example, for this, if I want the teacup handle to be to the right, I would then be flipping this page over, let's say, you know, putting that on my light box or on my window, and then taking that fabric, which I was going to use, that orange fabric, this one here. So I would be taking this paper, putting it this way with the rough side down, tracing over it, and then I would be putting the, and I'll show you this one as I do it, putting that fabric you know, on here so that that glue would get stuck here, and then that would get put on my on the front of the mug rug. So hope that makes sense, but I will show you the steps on that. Okay, so I have my light box here, and here is my design. So what I'm going to do is flip the design over. Now, if it's something that's symmetrical, you don't have to do that, or if it's something that it doesn't really matter, let's say you have a butterfly and it doesn't matter which way it's facing, it does, you know, you can go ahead and do that. But I do want the mug handle to be on the other side, on the right side, so I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to turn this on, so it's going to be quite bright, and I've cut out a little piece of the heat and bond. So again, here's the rough side and here's the smooth side, so I'm going to be placing that on here. And when I trace it, as you can see, I'm not going to go right on the line. I'm going to give it a little bit of space, maybe a quarter of an inch or so, and I'll show you. So just watch out, it'll be bright. Okay. So there's my design, and again, I'm just going to go, actually, let me try to use as much of the paper here as possible. So there's that outside edge here, and then I'll give it a little bit of this space here. And of course, I will now go ahead and trace the design. And I just want this extra space because that's where I'm going to cut it. And I will be cutting out this piece as well because the background will be showing there. I'm going to do this as a dotted line because this is where I'm going to cut another piece of fabric, and I'm going to use this brown fabric for that. So again, this will be the piece that I cut, but I am going to cut along here. So that's that one. And then for the steam, okay, I guess it doesn't matter here, but I am going to move it along just so that I have that space. And this one too. But again, it'll be that space there. And then this one here, and that space there. And the other thing I have to do is I'm just gonna, well, let's see if it'll fit on here. Yeah, it'll fit. So this is the tracing that I'm going to do for the inside part of the coffee or the tea. And so I'll probably number this as this being number 1, this will be number 2, this will be 3, 4, and 5, just so that I have that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these pieces. So I've cut out the pieces, and some of these I may go ahead and save because I think for my craft fair I will make some mug rugs, and maybe I might find some mugs and maybe package them with some teas and see if they sell. So I can always use pieces like this. So these I'm not going to go ahead and throw out. Don't know that I can use these, so this I'll probably toss, but there might be something small that I can still use these pieces for. Just one note, I did take a tiny little baby pair of scissors and cut the hole through there. Now I just wanted to mention that I'm going to be following the directions on my packaging. So you follow the directions of your packaging because these instructions may be different than another brand that you might use. So for this, I'm placing my iron at medium heat, no steam. And it says here, make sure that so for example, here's my piece. I'm going to be ironing it to the back side of the fabric so the back side is sticky, and that will then adhere to the front of my mug rug. And it says here, preheat to medium heat, no steam, place adhesive on back of material to be bonded. Paper liner should face up. Then place and hold iron on paper liner for 2 seconds. Repeat until entire surface is bonded, allow to cool, and then cut to size or shape needed, and peel the paper off. So it also says here, let's see, then place the material adhesive side down on top of project, press and hold for 8 seconds on each section until piece is bonded. So again, you follow please the instructions for whatever brand that you choose or that you have purchased. And again, this is the fabric that I'm going to use for the teacup. And this is the backing. My iron has been heating, and let's go ahead and press that down. It says for about 2 seconds. 1, 2. And again, it's just so that the glue sticks to the back of the fabric. All right, so that's what I'm going to do for this one. And this was the T part, so I selected this material. It does have a design on it, so that's what I found that was brown. And again, I'm going to place it sort of towards the edge because I can always use this fabric, especially if I make some other mug rugs using that theme. I can go ahead and do that. So again, you're always pressing it to the back of the fabric, just for a couple of seconds. And then I think for the steam, I was going to use the hearts, but I think instead I'm going to use this fabric here. It has some sort of writing. I used this when I made my tote bag. It was with that French theme. So again, the backing, this is the steam pieces. Not sure what I did with my other ones. There they are. Try not to make the sticky part of that paper go onto my ironing board here. So again, just going to hold that down just for a couple of seconds, just so that it bonds. Okay. And that should be my 5 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so on to the next step. All right, and now what I'm going to do is I am going to cut away right here at the edge of the tracing of the design. Okay, so I'll continue with that, and I am going to cut out this little piece here also because I want the backing of the other fabric to show through. And so with this here, to cut it, all I did was fold it a little bit like that, take a scissor and cut that little slit, and then I'm going to cut around that. So I have cut all my pieces. And again, they have the numbers here, and again here you can see where that dotted line is. So for example, here's where the liquid would be, so that would get attached there. These are the wisps of steam, and I'll just figure out where I want to put those, kind of like that. And of course this will all go on top of the fabric here. I just have to figure out where I want to put that on the fabric, but just to give you an idea, something like that. And so the next step is to peel this off and decide, again, I have to decide where I want to place it. I don't know if I want it here. Again, I'd have to make sure I have enough space, but let's say, for example, if I want it up here in the corner and I have my mug here, or maybe just down here in the corner, and then I can have my space for my mug here, for example, and yeah, and then maybe if I have my cookie or my biscuit, so I'm right-handed, so this might be where maybe I'll go ahead and I'll place that. So, and then after I adhere this, I'm going to go around with my sewing machine and applique that or stitch that down. So, but pretty much this is, I think, what it'll be looking like. So let me go ahead and attach the little applique down. So to take this off, usually you can go ahead and just peel it from here, but let's say it's stuck maybe with your fingernail, just go ahead and do like a little tear, and then it'll come off like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for all these pieces. And as I mentioned, I think I'm going to put it here in this corner. I just want to be aware of where maybe I might have the edge, the edge of the, whether it's binding or not, so I'm going to make sure I leave some space there. So this is going to come here. Like that. Now I just have to figure out where I want the pieces of the steam to be. So let me think about that. So I've decided I'm going to do it like this. So these two pieces here are overlapping. That one's a little bit further back. And I'm going to take my iron and have that bond to the top piece of my mug rug. So again, the same thing, medium heat, at least for this particular brand. And it's set to hold for 8 seconds. I just want to make sure my little iron here is hot. So 1, 2, just, count to 8, but you can always go over it again. But we do want to make sure that it does bond to this fabric. But again, I will be sewing around all the edges, and that will secure it if I ever need to wash it. So for this particular tutorial, I'm just showing the applique portion. I will do a second portion, a second tutorial that shows the actual sewing process. So this way, if you wanted to catch up, or if you're just interested in how to do applique or how to cut the pieces, you can watch this tutorial. And if you're interested in how to actually, sew down the applique, once you have that, that'll be in the other tutorial. So this way it'll give you a little bit of time where you're not searching through a whole long tutorial on how to do that. So let's take a look and see. And so one way to do it is that you want to make sure, so this is still a little bit sticky, is that you cannot peel off the pieces. So here I just have to do a little bit more on this side. But these are fun, and actually I just realized when I took this out, because again I haven't used it in a couple of years, it's 5 yards, so I have quite a bit in here. So I will be making some more of these mug rugs to sell at my craft fair, and maybe even to do as giveaways. They are fun. Maybe I can do seasonal themes, spring, summer, fall, and winter, for holidays, birthday type. So yeah, so stay tuned for that. All right, let's see what it looks like now. And these are nice because you can bring to work. You can give them as gifts. I probably should just let it cool for a little bit. But I like the way that looks. I'm going to turn off this little iron here. So again, I'll have my backing, and I will do that in my part 2 of the tutorial, but just to give you an idea, it'll go like this. It'll get sewn. I'm not sure if I'm going to quilt it, but then I'll have my mug here. I could put my cookie or my piece of cake, or even if it's not still there, and you can still see the little applique piece there. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please leave it in this comment section below. I appreciate you all watching. So my next tutorial, to finish up this mug rug, what I'll be doing is stitching around. So in here, here and here. So this actually sets down the applique to the piece of fabric. But I hope you enjoyed this. And again, if you have any questions, just let me know. And again, if you want to participate in the tea swap, just again, let me know in the comment section below. And I hope you enjoy this. Have a great weekend, and I will see you soon.